How you going, guys? Welcome back to video 53, I think it is, and the third time I was trying to film this little piece. Anyway, got some roll-up discs, some new ones. I don't know what brand they are, but they look pretty meaty and grunty. I only got them of this vehicle and that. He got these for me, and got some new DA pads. I've never struck these before. Give them a try. These are 60 grit ones for just trying to rip down all the shit off the steel and cleaning it out and polishing it up. So give them a try. Yeah. Ryko Magic, whatever. We'll give them a garage spice see if they're any good. I ain't paying for the stuff, so it's just whatever he finds and whatever. Hopefully eventually that situation will change a little bit. But anyway, now somebody messaged last night in one of the messages and said, can you turn that ticking thing off? Unfortunately, no, I can't. It's an electric fence unit. I've said it a few times. It would be nice to be able to turn it off, but it controls the stock on this property. I don't own the property, I don't own the shed. You know, I've got my few tools here, and the owner of the studebaker owns all the rest of the tools, the English wheel and all that sort of stuff. When I'm finished building that for him, I'll be still working in here at this meantime. I've got an HQ Holden ute to do, possibly, not 100% sure on this, possibly a beat-up combi to do. And basically the owner of the shed and the English wheel and the folder and the bandsaw and a few other bits and pieces, he's prepared to just, if I need something, need a tool, he'll buy it for me. Basically he will sort of own things and I will just rent it off him on a whatever basis, depending on how and whatever works at the time. We'll work that out a little bit later on. We've got a rough plan, and there's possibly another big, huge build in the works, but we've got to work through some possibly legal issues on building hand-built vehicles here. So that could be coming up soon-ish too. Like that could be a few months or whatever, I don't really know. But that will all depend on the coronavirus pandemic and possibly moving to the States, which was what I was planning to do in 2019. Now to go back through that, for the people that don't know, I was meant to be temporarily here in New Zealand, down the bottom of the South Island. It's where I'm originally from, but in 2017 I moved back to Australia to work, and that job basically disappeared within a few days or weeks of being there. The guy was just a complete nutter, unfortunately, but anyway. So I ended up, I've been and worked in Tasmania a few times. My partner's from there. But anyway, so we ended up back in Tasmania, and I can't remember, it might have been 2018, early 2018. I bought a 66 Dodge Phoenix, like a four-door sedan, which is basically a Plymouth Fury. It's exactly the same thing, it's just right-hand drive, and the interior is slightly different. The dash is a bit different and stuff like that. It's a right-hand drive Plymouth Fury with a 318 poly. That was what was in them. Some of them had big blocks, but most of the, I think 65s and 66s might have been all small blocks, I think, and then some of the like 67s and the latest shape ones, some of them had big blocks. I'm not 100% sure on that, but anyway, so yeah, I was started making videos on doing that because I'd done other videos earlier on. I'm working with VC Valiant, which was doing here and other stuff as well. My very first videos were model trains. But yeah, that's what I started doing, but that sort of escalated into doing car stuff, which I've always sort of done all my life with my father and that. But anyway, how this whole thing come about that I can't do at the moment because of COVID. But anyway, yeah, I started talking to Arco from Outlaw Edge, which is Minnesota Outlaw Kustoms, is the name of their business. And I started talking to him basically because I was looking for panel beating tips and bits and pieces, as I was doing the car. Trying to sharpen up my skills, just looking for any little tips and tricks. Because I'm always, when I'm watching people's videos, depending on what they're doing, I'm always looking for little things that they do differently to what I do. And if I see something that I think might work for me, I'll try it. Basically, anything to make anything a little bit easier or work a little bit better, or just, or just something different to try just to do something a little bit easier, I suppose, or a slightly different technique that might work better for what I'm doing at the time, because every vehicle is different. But anyway, so yeah, I started talking to Arco. We talked backwards and forwards through just video messages for a start off, and then we started talking through Messenger on Instagram, because he doesn't really have Facebook. And then eventually we started talking on this box wrap, so it's basically like a walkie-talkie, and we've been doing it for yonks, basically since the middle of 2018. So we're now 2021, we're doing it quite a while. But anyway, so partway through 2019, we were just in a conversation one day. I was just saying, man, I'd love to be over there doing what you guys are doing, building the stuff that you're doing and whatever. And he said, why don't you? I said, well, yeah, can. Yeah, we can. Might take a wee while to organise it, but yeah, we can probably do that. So at that sort of point, we still didn't have anything set in concrete, but it was sort of like maybe a year plan type thing. And I was hoping to get the Dodge finished and maybe then export it back to New Zealand to sort of keep it, because I'd sold, when I went back to Australia, I'd sold my VC Valiant, which I was in the middle of doing, and I didn't really want to sell, but didn't have anywhere to keep it at the time. But anyway, so yeah, the plan was to, at that point, just to sort of keep working there, try and get the Dodge finished, and then see, and then maybe move to the States. But then the opportunity for Arco and Heidi come up to build Rogue for SEMA for a competition, and one thing led to another. I ended up helping them design it and do drawings, and I was going to move to the States. So basically that was heading towards the end of 2019, because I went to the SEMA in 2019 to get this wheel spinning for the SEMA build for 2020. So basically I was to come back here, spend a couple of months, finish all the bits and pieces to get a working visa to move to the States. And that's the time where we were basically in the midst of planning and selling everything up to shift, because everything was set in motion. Like, I'd handed them the job. I was basically sold most of the stuff. I'd sold the Dodge. We were basically in the midst, and then that's when the pandemic started poking its head up. And we're like, okay, well, I hope this doesn't blow out anything stupid. It was sort of really early days. It was sort of like when people sort of first heard there was this sickness in China and whatever, and it was like, oh, okay, all right, I hope this is not one of these swine flu, bird flu, freaking stupid things that might go global. Well, it did, as you all know. So yeah, basically, I was right in the midst of about to move back to New Zealand. It basically blew through the world like a whirlwind, because they never closed the doors in China, which they probably should have, but they didn't. And it went everywhere. And by the time we were about to fly home to here to spend a few weeks, it was basically, we barely got through the door. It was we're only here about a week. We basically, when we flew in, is when they started making people quarantine, but we were quarantining at home. So yeah, we basically got off the plane, drove home, and we just stayed there for 2 weeks. And then in the midst of that, that's when a lot of the world just went into this crazy bloody lockdown, and it's been a shit fight to try and get a permanent working visa to migrate to the States ever freaking since. It's basically, as far as I can work out, a no-go zone. We've had no luck at doing anything, unfortunately, because basically the plan was to come home. We'd sort of half set the wheels in motion, but hadn't really, and we were basically going to work through the final bits and pieces of it, and it's just been a complete freaking nightmare ever since. So yeah, and that's part of the reason why I'm still living with my parents. Hopefully it's going to change in the next week or two, because up until sort of recently, we thought maybe maybe another month or two this might sort of sort itself out, because it was sort of like dying down, and then it would come back and die down and come back and die down and come back, and then there's new, 50 new strains of this and that. So yeah, we haven't gone anywhere. So it's been a real freaking pain in the ass. But basically that's why I'm here, why I'm doing what I'm doing. I basically had the guts for working for everybody else and doing everything else, and so I got the opportunity to start restoration on this for this guy, and it's one thing's led to another. So hopefully, yeah, if I can't get to America within the next, I don't know, 6 months, 12 months, whatever, I've got a good backup plan now, so things are looking quite positive from that. So yeah, if we can get some of the, work out some of the things that are around building a hand-built car, and just see what the go is there. It'll be a hugely high-end, well, hopefully high-end built car, like we're talking like 6 figures type sort of thing. So that's pretty cool. I'll shed more light on it later on, like maybe in a few weeks if we find out a little bit more, and we'll just discuss it with the owner of this property a bit more. After we've done the studebaker and bits and pieces, and I'll get into this other holder. So yeah, like it could be a few months before we sort of dive into that if it happens. But yeah, so there's some cool things coming up. And also, if I get into a house, I want to build something for myself, a rat rod or some description, because I've got nothing, unfortunately, again, with moving around the world and thinking that I was going to be here, there and everywhere, and then knowing that's happened. So I'd like to try and build maybe a rat rod or something for myself, to try and build something that's hopefully not horrendously expensive to build. Try and build it on the sort of the cheap. That's why I want to sort of build something sort of rat rod. It's still going to cost a bit of money, but see if I can build something cool that I can drive around. So I'll be doing separate videos, probably at home or at Dad's, or maybe the odd little bits and pieces here as I'm doing bits and pieces on that too. But yeah, we'll just see what happens. So that's a bit of an update on what I've been doing, and it's taken me 3 goes to get it done. But anyway, we'll get into some work, get this yard cleaned up, and we'll get some work done on that. Right, cool. Over and done.
Righty, so I think I just need to slot those holes just a little bit more so I can just rock that around a little bit further. Probably just another, probably that much, 4 or 5 mils, if that, just a little bit, because that running board is sitting up off the thing a little bit, so like it's not far away, and I think with a little bit of panel beating on this here, because it's bent and buckled, I think I'll get this here to match up and get it to just sit back a little bit, you know what I mean? Because that's not bolting on either. So at some stage we'll have to find some bolts to bolt that down. And I think over here it's meant to have, I'm not sure if you can see on this thing or not. Some spots you can. Oh no, it's a repair. Yeah, you can see it's meant to have these things. Got like a washery thing and then the thing, so it's meant to be like that as far as I can tell. So we'll have to these are like dome nuts. It's broken off anyway. I think you can't see on this either. It's a similar sort of thing to what the other thing is at the back. So freaking rough you can't tell. So yeah, meant to be this sort of thing on everything. So it's like a little, must be like a little domed washer. I'll flick through back my photos and just see if I've got a half close-up shot of what's on that other thing, that one in Queenstown. Then you're going to get a bit more of an idea. But yeah, so that has got a hood catch thingy on there. Might better pinch that of the handle. There's 2 there. Cool. Oh, there's some on that side too. Might better pinch the ones off that for this in the meantime. Anyway, we'll carry on. We'll get this back off and I'll do some more hammering and dollaring. Alrighty guys, so I've got that fitting pretty good there now. I've actually got it bolted back in. I slotted those bolt holes a reasonable amount, but not a huge amount. These here, they were sort of half over the pieces of the valance, so I just opened them up with the what do you want to call it, the die grinder, and just bolted them back together, and I actually just put a ratchet strap on the bottom of it just to help pull it up against there when I bolted it up, and like die grinded those things out so I could get it in about the right spot. Obviously when we come to fit it together properly we can get it fitting really nice. These holes here still line up. It may have come back a little bit. I think it might have moved back a little bit with reshaping this and pushing that round, so it's sort of swung out a little bit. And I think with taking some of the big flat spots out of there, so when it pulled up it didn't close it in so much. I think it's better. It's still not exactly the same as the other side, but it's not horrible, and you can't see one side of the car to the other at the same time. Like it is forward, like looking at that piece, like it's probably still back, 3/4 of an inch I suppose. Well, forward 3/4 of an inch. When I come to do the panel beating on this, whether I can I don't know, maybe manipulate this in a little bit. But if I, because this needs a bit of panel beating here, so if I can maybe, I don't know whether it needs to be flattened or not. Yeah. By the time I play around with this a little bit, I might better make it move in a little bit. When I bolt it up, I might better pull it in a little bit or something, just so it's a little bit more even. So yeah, I'll do that, start playing with that shortly. I'm going to revisit this back door because it's annoying me. Oh shit, don't stand on the die grinder. That gap around, the gap up the back's quite good, but that gap around there is, yeah, it's way too close. But I'm going to have to be careful when I do it because I'm going to have to grind it back a reasonable amount and then weld it and then grind it back and weld it and grind it back and weld it because it'll split the fold over. And the worst thing is too is it's going to mean I'm going to end up probably welding the skin to this in the panel, so that's not really my problem, I guess, but it's not ideal. Unless, yeah, I don't know whether I can get this off and maybe yeah, I don't know. That's probably the only thing I can really do, because it's, I don't know, it's just like it just hasn't had enough folded over, or it's just too close. I can't really go that way any, because all the other gaps are very, very close to what that is. So yeah, I'd rather just mark how much I need to take off it, grind it back to just past that, and add a little bit of weld on there, and then like dress it up and clean it up, and that'll join the two pieces together. But I'm going to only have to better do a small section at a time, so when that doesn't completely let that inner piece to go to the outer piece, and then you're trying to make it look right. But apart from that, I think with a bit of dolly work on that side, this needs a little bit of finishing. I just wanted to get it fitting back in there. I'm going to hammer and dolly that dint a little bit better. For the most of it, these are actually quite good. Well, this one's quite good. There's no major damage around this part of it. It needs a little bit of playing with and a couple of cracks welded up on it and stuff. And probably just a little hammer and dolly work down here. You know, a few little pieces and bits and pieces, but it's not bad now that I've straightened out that piece in there that you can't really see, and then just bent that edge back in a bit. It might need a little bit more as well, but yeah, maybe. Like it needs sort of straightened up a bit more, and obviously when I weld that, that'll help hold it and stuff, but yeah, it's better. Just, do a little bit more finishing work, but it didn't take a lot to get that better. But yeah, so it's cool. It fits a lot better than it did. And obviously just turning it a little bit. And I think it did stretch out a little bit with fixing that. It didn't pull in so much. But yeah. So that's cool. So hopefully now I should be able to also, that I'm happy with how that's fitting and I don't have to juggle anything backwards and forwards. And we'll do a couple more measurements, but I think I'm ready to start marking these holes. And unfortunately here, they haven't given enough material on this to catch that hole. And I'm not sure about further around there, I can't really see, but so I might have to add a little bit of steel on this and get it so it's that shape. But on the other side, I think there might be one spot I might have to add, but like, it's like they got way too much at the front, and then like not enough further back. It's like, I would have just left it long, left it quite long instead of cutting it off where they did when they didn't really have anything fitting properly, or panel beated guards or anything like that. But yeah, so that's cool. But anyway, A little bit of fine tuning to go. Panel beating on that one, obviously. But yeah, hopefully, maybe, I don't know, some of these sorts of things I might better do a little bit of work to, but it's not quite so easy because it's in behind steel and stuff. And really, it's not that bad. By the time I put, a skim of, just clean it up and skim a body filler over it. The only thing I need to really figure out is this stuff here. I might get Dad around here one day and just, because I don't know if this would have been welded on or whether it's just like that and they just, you know what I mean? I don't know whether those things were welded. I don't think they were. I think that's sort of how they were. Ooh, take that clamp off there. I clamped with the doors shut from a walk around the other day. So yeah, like I think these are just like little caps, so you can clean it up and paint it, but I don't think they're ever welded on there anywhere, if you know what I mean. But I need to find that out. Possibly that other heap over there might tell me, but it's sort of so bad. Or I could ask that guy in Queenstown. I might have to have a bit more better look at some of the photos again. Throw them up on maybe my laptop and have a look. But yeah, I've been slowly also organising that footage to put together for the carburetor too, so I can get that back together. I was going to go through a little bit more footage from the earlier videos, so I can get that back together and just get the footage I need. I don't want to be sitting there watching 2 hours of footage trying to put a carburetor together, but I might just have to go through it when I'm at home and then edit it a little bit. Anyway, we'll carry on. Fine, I'm going to fix the door. It's bugging me. It needs done. I can't be bothered doing anything else at the moment. I'm over playing with guards for a while. I'll fix this door. It's not going to be a big job. It's sort of an hour or so, probably. Just playing around. I've marked where I need to grind it off. I'll just pull it off and I'll show you on the bench when I clamp it in the vise. Wait till tomorrow.